Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us at In the Know. We're catching up with some of your favorite celebs, reality TV stars, and more direct from their homes. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and today we're joined by Ryan O'Connell, whose series Special has been charming Netflix users since it premiered last spring. Ryan and I chatted about production shutting down on season 2, the incredible response to the show's groundbreaking first season, how the show even came to be in the first place, and the need for increased representation for the disabled community in mainstream media. Keep listening for my full interview with Ryan. So Ryan O'Connell, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm available.
Yeah, we're all trying to figure out what to do with this time right now.
We're all tuck avail.
How have you been spending your time? How are you holding up?
Well, actually, I have been kind of busy because we shut down production on Special season 2, but we had shot 4 episodes. So actually, I've been in the editing bay putting together those 4 episodes. So yeah, it's like the editing though, it's going to kind of be finished like the end of this week, which will be a real telling time of what happens next.
Right.
You know
it's like
what I mean?
Once that is done, once that's checked off the list, what does it look like?
Yes, totally. Because I feel like I've been very fortunate to have that as like an escape, and so I've been kind of too busy to even think about like what's next. And so, anyways.
Okay, well, you tweeted, you kind of teased this. You tweeted that it's been a year since Special, which is crazy, and you said, your life has changed, and I'm curious, in your words, how has your life changed over the past year?
I don't know, because I mean the show definitely was a critical hit, which I was so grateful for. But I don't know. I just think that as a TV writer in the business, you know, you're always kind of wanting things to get easier.
Right.
To not always have to prove yourself and like
sure.
what you're able to do. And it's nice to know that like when I go to a meeting now or when I meet someone new, there's this baseline familiarity with my work. So I'm not having to start from scratch every time I meet someone and kind of dance for my dinner because my, feet have blisters at this point from dancing for so long. So I think in that way, it's been really gratifying to see people in my industry kind of see what I'm able to do rather than just kind of hopping from writer's room to writer's room with a sample. It's also been really gratifying to see people embrace a story about a queer disabled person and know that there needs to be a lot more of it. And hopefully this is just the tip of the iceberg. So yeah, I don't know. This year's been kind of a blur. It's been very, very busy until now.
But yeah, you must be kind of getting people reaching out to you, whether they're just tweeting at you or whether they're friends or peers in the industry. Either they, watched it right when it came out, but I'm sure there must be people that have discovered Special over the past 365 days.
Yeah, no, the support has been really overwhelming. I mean, I always expected like there to be some backlash, and who knows? There's always time.
But you haven't had any yet.
I haven't had any.
Good.
I don't know. Maybe
celebrate that.
Maybe you're just not allowed to critique the gay disabled show. I mean, maybe we're like woke proof. I feel really grateful though.
Yeah.
I mean, the response that I cared the most about was the disabled community, because I think you do kind of get this feeling of the burden of representation because and you just like, you're like, I have to get it right. I have to get it right. While also knowing that you can only tell your story. You can't tell the story of every disabled person. So I was really nervous about how the show was going to be received. And everyone has been so incredibly supportive. And I think that once that happened, I could just breathe a sigh of relief. And anything else after that was just kind of like, was
icing
gravy.
on the cake. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You noted that season 2 was in production and then you guys had to shut down production. What can you tell me about sort of, where that stands? Or obviously there's no kind of date in mind to come back, but
yeah.
What can you tell me about season 2?
Season 2, I'm really excited. I mean, the first 4 episodes, I think people are going to be really happy with it. The show definitely feels bigger. I think that in season 1, it felt kind of insular, like a fishbowl. And I think partially that was because of budget. And partially because of the 13-minute episodes or 14-minute episodes. And I think that this world definitely feels bigger. Like Ryan has left the fishbowl and is kind of out into the world. And, I don't know, it just feels more expansive. And there's a lot more Kim, Poonam Patel, who's a genius.
Love her.
She goes on her own journey this season. Good. And Jessica Hecht continues to give the gays everything that they want.
Everything. She's incredible. She really is
she,
incredible.
she is. She's so special and amazing, and I love her so much. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I think watching the episodes, it was sort of like bittersweet symphony because I'm so excited. I'm so
Mhm.
proud of them, but also I cannot wait to go back and finish them.
Mhm.
So I don't know when that's going to happen. I mean, it's so interesting to think about. I mean, I think there will be kind of a gradual lifting of the stay-at-home order, but I don't think that people are going to be necessarily barreling to get back to sharing airspace with 100 people on set.
For sure. Right. It's like, what does that new process look like? And nobody
I,
knows.
I don't know. And I think that in my mind, because I'm a disease specialist now, everyone is an amateur. Everyone's like saying antibody,
Everyone.
antibody, antibody. Yeah,
Right.
everyone's an extra on Grey's Anatomy lately. But it's like, to me, the only way that it's is like if you can get tested every day, basically, essentially. Like
Mhm.
if there's a quick test that you can just like prick someone with a needle and just like, okay, you don't have it, you don't have it, you don't have it. I think that's the only way that people would feel comfortable going
I
back to
know.
work.
Yeah,
So
we all have these different anxieties that are just like, I don't know. I feel like everyone's worrying about different things about it too. So it's so hard to kind of make that space safe for everyone and kind of welcome for everyone. I feel like right now.
yeah, no, I know but there's also been something really freeing about knowing that everyone's in the same exact boat.
Hmm.
Like truly, I mean, the
Hmm.
universalness of all the suffering going on has actually been weirdly like cathartic for me because
I
I just
agree.
because it's like we really are for the first time globally on the same page and
Hmm.
experiencing these insane things together.
Hmm.
So that gives me
Yeah.
some kind of solitude, I guess.
Yeah.
Honey, I'll take it.
Put it into
I'm
words if we can.
grasping at Coke straws
Right.
here.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's make this work. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Um, Circling back to special, I think something that when I kind of just stumbled upon special. I think it was the weekend it came out, but
Mm.
there was something about the 15-minute episodes that especially appealed. I think,
Yeah, totally.
you can only have so many 45-minute, 50-minute, hour-long episode shows in your
Ugh,
life. And
yeah.
there was something it was still so substantial, but it was also very digestible in that 15-minute format.
Yes.
And I'm curious, initially why 15 minutes? And, do you like telling a story in that format?
I initially wasn't planning on doing short form.
Okay.
It's kind of the way the cookie crumbled because when we went out and pitched as a half hour, everyone passed. They were like not ready for this gig, disabled jelly. It's like and then we went to this short form incubator called Stage 13, which is a division of Warner Brothers, and they were doing 15-minute episodes. I mean, and I was like down for the challenge. I mean, it is a lot more challenging to write 15-minute episodes because
Right.
you basically have to pack a half hour worth of story in 15 minutes. You have to become incredibly economical with your storytelling.
Hmm.
So I really feel like as much as I resisted the short form format at first, because it wasn't what I was used to, I was so trained in half hour. It actually was sort of like boot camp for my writing because
Yeah.
you really, really have to be like, okay, does this need to be here? Like, does this actually propel the story forward? Does this actually amount to something? So it was definitely a big learning curve for me, and
Hmm.
I'm grateful that we were able to do it. I also think that in a way it worked to our advantage because I think that the TV landscape right now is so oversaturated, and I do think that a lot of shows are a little bloated in terms of length. I'm like,
$100.
I see like a lot of 38-minute comedies, and I'm like, do we need 38 minutes? Do we? You know what I mean?
No, especially, yeah, I think you really pick out the best parts to include. That's what it felt like. It's like you really get the best of the best, I think,
Yeah.
in these scenarios, and I really appreciate that.
It's very lean. It's
Hmm.
very, very lean. It is a very hungry TV show. It's
Hmm.
very, and there are moments I think looking back at it, I'm like, I wish I could let certain moments breathe a little bit more.
Right.
It moves at such a breakneck pace, but again, I think that was really for the time, like it was really good for the audience. I think that's what people were looking for, something that didn't feel like an overwhelming undertaking, because I think people are really overwhelmed by all the appointment television and being like, oh, I have to watch this, I have to watch this, I have to watch this, and it's like, oh, you
Hmm.
truly have no excuse. You can watch this in 2 hours. It's an afternoon of your life. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly. So for people that aren't as familiar with your story that are listening to this, I want to give them a little bit more background on how special got made. I know it was based on a memoir, which is sort of based on a column or an article in Thought Catalog. Could you just sort of put into your words how special kind of came to be in its current form?
Yeah, so I was this is really shameful, but it was a different time. I was like an internet famous blogger who was writing about my personal life and just like all my feelings. And at 24, I had a whole lot of feelings, honey, a whole lot of
Don't we
feelings.
all?
Oh yes, and I felt like it was necessary to share every single one of them. But I had to for my job, you know. It was like a sweatshop for my emotions.
Right.
So
As we see on the show.
yeah, totally, totally, totally. So I was doing that, and some of the pieces had gotten attention, and so through that, I'd gotten a book deal, and I initially went to Simon Schuster and kind of picked this stupid like How to Be a 20-something coffee table book. It was like not chic, and then they bought it, and then. And then at the time I was closeted about my disability, like everything that happens to Ryan in Special in terms of him getting hit by a car and then lying about his being an accident victim. That's all true. That actually did happen to me. So I had been closeted about my disability for years at that point, and I kind of knew, even in like my 24-year-old rat poison brain, that like keeping this big part of my identity like secret was kind of not doing me any favors.
Gotcha.
Who knew? I love when you're just like really trapped up in the garbage of life and that you have these moments of clarity that you're like, oh, I need to dig myself out and this is the way that I can do it. So actually after Simon & Schuster bought it, I went to my editor and I said I wanted to write about having cerebral palsy, and they were very supportive, and it was weird. I was like unpacking all these memories that I had pretty much repressed and not dealt with kind of in real time in the book. And then anyway, so the book came out, and the That's Wonderful, Jim Parsons production company, had optioned it. And we went out and we pitched it as the half hour. Everyone passed, and I pretty much thought it was like dead. And then Stage 13 rescued it, and like when I talk about it, it's like seems so like easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, like very fast, whatever. But the whole process door to door took like 4 years.
Wow.
There were a lot of points where we felt like the project was dead, that it wasn't going to happen. There are times where I felt like kind of giving up on it because it felt very impossible. Anyway, but when I wrote the scripts while working on Will and Grace on the weekends, and we sent it to Netflix, the finished scripts, and they just bought them. It was like it was very anticlimactic. It was like after 4 years of like, no. Netflix,
it just happened.
Yeah, Netflix was literally like, all right, we'll do it. And I'm like, shoot, I love that. I love that.
Not going to argue with that.
Not going to argue with that. No way.
No.
So
do you think that because it was your story, is that sort of what kept you pushing through, perhaps?
you know what? I think what always propels me forward is stigma and taboo and removing that. And I think there is still a lot of things that we don't talk about in our culture, which is just kind of befuddling to me. I don't understand. And I think that drive to remove the stigma kept me going. And just knowing that if this show had existed when I was a teenager, it would have saved me a lot of years and money at therapy. You know what I mean? Because I kind of like, because there was no stories about disability really on TV or film. Like that really taught me that my existence was not valued, like that my point of view didn't matter. And even when we pitched it as a half hour and everyone passed, that message still came back to me in 2015 of, oh, we're not, like, your identity is too complicated for us. Like, we don't understand intersectionality. Like, we don't really, like, this is scary. Right. We don't really want to touch it. It's too, like, basically, like, I felt like this was never said, but I felt like I could have been gay or disabled, but not both. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. It's like there were, by 2015 there were gay characters on TV, but you know they were all pretty. Well, they were just gay. You know, there was nothing else.
In terms of like the wokeification of the culture in 2015, we were still like digesting Amy Schumer and being like, "Wow, a woman can be funny and like 135 pounds. Like this is crazy." Like people just were
groundbreaking.
It really was, but that was groundbreaking, and I think things had to. I think things had to. We all had to take turns, and I think that gay disability was like way down the list of like marginalized populations and like 2-point font. And, you know, I don't think people were really considering us and our identities. So, you know, everything kind of happens for a reason, as cheesy as that is, but it was a true struggle to get this made. And I think that, even when we made the first season, it was sort of, we shot it in Austin, Texas. Like no one really knew about it. It was really under the radar. Like I remember making it and being in post-production being like, is anyone gonna see this? Like, is any of this gonna matter? Like I had no idea. That's why when we did get such a positive response, it was so validating because all those years that I had been told no and my story had been rejected, my voice had been rejected, it was just like, oh no, see, this does have value. And, because I always knew that, Special. I always look at Special as like a top 40 Ariana Grande pop song, but like in unconventional packaging. Like you take like the gay disabled wrapping paper off, and it's truly just like God is a woman staring back at you. And
I
like,
love this.
but it's true because it's like
it's true.
Like the more personal you are, the more universal it becomes. And like Ryan is just an underdog. Ryan is an underdog who's just trying to get the things in life that he thinks he deserves, which is a job, a boyfriend, like a healthy relationship with his mom. Like that's not insane. That is things that everybody struggles with, whether they're gay or disabled or not. And so I always knew that this story was not niche or fringe. I knew that it could have crossover appeal. And I think that is the job of the storyteller, is to create empathy and to have people see themselves in characters that they thought they had nothing in common with. You know what I mean? And so
for sure.
I don't know. I think that Special hopefully did do that. So it was a huge win on a professional level, but I think on a personal level, it meant even more.
Definitely. And I've read in past interviews that you said that it was sort of just a budget reason as to why you ended up playing Ryan on Special.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I'm curious though, because I think it gets into, I love that you played him, and I'm curious because it gets into this conversation of, should disabled characters only be played by disabled people, or should gay characters only be played by gay people? And is that where do you stand in that conversation? Because it's a complex issue.
Yeah. Okay. To me, it's like not that complicated. To me, it's like they should, because they have no other opportunities. Like, do I believe that a non-disabled actor can play a disabled person? Absolutely. Do I think that a straight actor can play a gay person? Absolutely. But when gay actors and disabled actors don't have any opportunities, you're going to take the one job that they could actually have away from them. Yeah. Like if we lived in a world that was a totally equal playing field, I'm like, honey, let's party. Let's have everyone play everything. Because I understand the concept of acting. I know it's the job where you're portraying characters that you're not in real life. I understand that, but we don't.
But that's not the reality.
We don't live in a reality where everything's equal. Like I truly believe that there are gay actors that would be a lot more famous if they were not openly gay, and they would have more opportunities. You know what I mean? So as long as we kind of live in this deficit, I just try to exert whatever modicum of power that I have, and I just try to give gay actors roles for gay characters, and even to straight parts, obviously. And that's just the way it needs to be until we course correct. But I don't know if we will. I mean, it's like very bleak.
It's TBD at this point, which is really unfortunate.
Exactly.
Are there any stories that have stood out to you in terms of people reaching out to you after watching Special, in terms of how it affected them on a personal level? Or is there anything that has stood out in terms of just like, because again, like I'm sure people have shared stories with you.
I think that the sheer volume of disabled people really blew me away, because I existed in a world that was primarily able-bodied. Like I didn't have any disabled friends growing up. Besides going to physical therapy, I was not really exposed to other disabled people, period. That remained in high school, that remained in college, and that remained after college. Like, it's still like, so to me, I never met anyone or interacted with someone who reminded me of myself, which is kind of damaging on the beyond level.
Absolutely.
So, it's very easy for you to get stuck in this thinking of I'm the only one. And I think seeing the sheer number of people reach out to me who were gay and disabled, who had a mild disability like mine, like it really was like, oh my God, like we do exist. There is more than just me. Like there's a whole world of us out there, but our voices have been pushed to the side. You know what I mean? Like we're just not given the opportunities that other people are given. We're not given the spotlight. So it's like we are here, but no one has, let us speak, on a large level.
Right.
So that was really, really emotional for me, and just like life affirming, because again, I have always kind of felt like isolated in my own identity.
Right. But when you broke through the noise, it's like, no, there are all these other people that can relate to your story, which is really, which is, I was going to say special, but
I know, honey, it's unavoidable. You know what I mean? Like, we've really done it.
So you broke into, I mean, this special was primarily driven from your writing, or initially your writing, and you're a writer, you're a TV writer. But now you've had this sort of on-screen moment, and you're going to continue to have this on-screen moment with special. Do you want to do more of that in the future, or what do you hope that special kind of could lead to down the road?
I have a really complicated relation with acting. I think that initially I was very anti-acting. I think that I was very much, my identity was very much like, I'm a writer.
Right.
I sit and I suffer and I write and I just like, that's what I do. That's who I am. But I think also a deep part of me has always loved performing. I've always loved it. But I feel like as a disabled gay person, to already feel like I want to have my own television show, that I want to write, executive produce, and showrun, oh my God, that was already so greedy. That was already wanting so much. So to admit that I also want to take up space in the acting arena and I also want to star in it, like, it didn't even occur to me. Like, I think I pushed that desire so deep down that it wasn't even like initially when we went out with it as a half hour and I was not attached to a star, it wasn't like I was secretly sitting in the room being like, oh, I wish I could play him if only someone gave me an opportunity. Like, it just never occurred to me that it would be possible. I already felt like I was so far ahead of what I could, possibly achieve. I was just so grateful to be there.
Of course.
And I think now, having done special and, having acted in 2 seasons of television, like, I really, really do love acting, and I do, and I feel like I've always wanted to act, and I've wanted to perform, and I just, it's been a journey for me to actually admit that that's a part that brings me joy. But in terms of like what's going to happen after, it's so interesting because like I have an acting agent, and she'd send me scripts, and like a lot of them are really bad. I mean, it's like, it is what, like, it's hard when you're so used to, when you've gotten spoiled with being able to write for yourself, and like, just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to lose that control and, audition to play Lucy Hale's best friend in a Netflix movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a hard thing. Like, and to me, it's like, I've already been so lucky to be in this position to not only star in a TV show, but also write it and control it, that I think it would have to take something really great for me to act in something else. Even though I definitely want to, it just,
it has to be good. And it's also like, you probably got to pick a lot of the people that worked on this project too. So it's not,
oh my God,
so it's like, so it's like, you're also surrounded by the people that you want to be surrounded with, and the people that you think that are really, really good at what they do. And that's probably also hard to let go of some of that control as well.
It is hard. It's really hard. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches of being able to like create this complicated role for yourself with like the jokes that you can hit, that you want to say, and like doing all these emotional moments. And then also, hiring all the people that you want to be surrounded with. Exactly. But I always like tell my agent, I was like, my dream is to like have 2 lines in a Greta Gerwig movie, or like be an extra in a high maintenance episode. Like, I don't, like, all I care about is being in projects that matter, or like having like, being like a waiter in a Mike White movie or something. Like that's what I want.
Yeah, it's more about the creators and the people that you'll be surrounded with. I mean, like, you should have been in Little Women. Come on, you should have had Little Women.
Yeah, totally. They're like, there's that boy with polio. He's not going to live. No, it's
No, but I know what you're saying for sure. It's like, have that moment with the people that you dream of working with, and that's it, whether it's 1 minute or
exactly,
the whole movie.
Because I'm not like, I don't have that ego thing where I'm like, it must be a big, like, I need to be personally, like, none of that shit. I'm just happy to be there, and I just want, like, there's so many creators that I respect and want to be involved with, that like, even having like 1 line that just says hi, I'm like, okay, great, like, sign me up, I'm there
for sure. Well, I think it will happen, knock on wood.
Oh, thank you.
So, Ryan, we can't wait to see season 2 of Special whenever we get to see it.
Me either, honey. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to call in, and I hope you continue to remain safe. And that's all we can ask for right now.
I'm not leaving my apartment. Nope. So
good.
I know. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For more stories from In the Know, go to intheknow.com. You can also follow In the Know on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and find me, Gibson Johns, on Instagram and Twitter at Gibsonoma. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.